Hello, and welcome back to the Diamonds Are Up podcast. I'm joined by Nate. And, obviously, Patriots season has taken a turn. Mac Jones, high ankle sprain. He'll be out minimum 4 weeks, probably more.
That's on the positive side.
So I want to bring Nate on mainly to talk as a Pats fan. What are we hoping for? What direction do we hope the season goes? Stuff like that. But first, I think it is worth noting that Mac and New England are having differences for how they want to proceed with his injury.
Not what you like to hear.
Yeah, it's kind of a little spooky, it might rub New England the wrong way a little bit because they've been able to, control what he does and all this and that. And now he's like, my body, it's my future. I want to handle it the right way, which is completely fine on him. But I can understand New England's perspective of saying, we want you to play as soon as possible for one, our season, and two, your development. I understand that. But the two options I believe are he could get surgery and he'd be back in 4 weeks, I believe. That's what New England wants him to do. Mac wants a second opinion, and what he would like to do is make it more 6 to 8 weeks, and he rehabs it. That's what I've gathered. And I know Tua had a similar injury, and obviously Mac was on the team when Tua was on the team in Alabama. So he's kind of seen, I think, how he went through it, and maybe he saw it and went, I want to go a different direction. So
yeah, it doesn't seem like he wants surgery. Understandably, he wants to take it easy, see how it heals. I'm hoping they work something out. I'm hoping this second opinion either nudges him in the right direction or nudges the Pats in the right direction so that they can, come to some agreement where, obviously we all want to see Mac back as soon as he can come back, but obviously we also don't want him rushing back so that he either gets hurt again or just doesn't play well, which he hasn't been playing terrifically to start the season anyway. So hopefully this will let him, regroup, get it together, and hopefully, mesh a little more with the offense, with the play callers, and hopefully by the time he gets back, who knows when that will be, but hopefully it all works out. And it's definitely going to be a not a fun time while we're waiting for Mac to come back. But I guess we'll see how it goes with either Hoyer or I'm hoping for Zappy personally, but I guess we'll see.
Okay, now we need to talk about that. Hang on. Okay. I believe they announced it's going to be, or it's expected to be Hoyer.
Yeah,
That's probably what it's going to be. Why Zappy? Is it you want Zappy because it gives us less of a chance to win? Or do you want him because you think he gives us what's the reason?
I just want to see the kid play. I want to see if he can be the next Tom Brady, because I've seen a lot on. I'm not saying he's the next Tom Brady, but we've seen the comparisons. Drew Bledsoe got injured, Tom Brady came back in, and he, rest is history, he took over. I just want to see the kid play, and I've seen enough of Brian Hoyer, especially after that 2-minute drill against the Chiefs in 2020. I don't think we know who Brian Hoyer is. Yeah, maybe he can win you one or two of these games, but personally, first of all, I would not start Zappy this week because throwing him into Lambeau against that defense is just setting him up for failure. I think they should throw Hoyer out there this week. They realize that he's just a bald corpse out there and that he's not going to do anything. But then I hope after they realize that, they bring out Zappy, see what the kid can do, and hopefully, who knows, maybe he is the next Tom Brady. Who knows? I guess we'll see.
The issue to me is there's absolutely no way that he is ready. We saw him in preseason going against third stringers, and the game looked too fast for him. It looked like he didn't have the physical attributes to even play in the league, honestly. Like his ball wasn't fast enough. He was too inconsistent with his throws. There was nothing in preseason that made me go, Bailey Zappi is a good pick. I'm not even saying like just there was nothing there that made me go, this was a good decision to draft him in the 4th round when we could have gone any other valuable asset for the team this year.
That's definitely fair.
So there's no way to me that 3 weeks of practice, about to be 4 weeks of practice, or I guess 5, because there's a week in between preseason. Another 5 weeks of practice makes him ready. I mean, you got to think, yeah, he had these incredible stats at Western Kentucky. I mean, Western Kentucky is nowhere near the NFL level, right?
No, for sure.
And obviously, you can go to small schools and succeed. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's a learning curve, especially when you're at the hardest position, arguably in the world. You could argue quarterback's the toughest thing to do in the whole world is play that position. The other thing to me is this. The Patriots still have an opportunity to win games with Hoyer. So really, I guess that's why I said, do you want Zappy to play to lose? Because if you want to go, let's get as high a pick as possible. Yeah, please put Bailey Zapp in. That makes sense to me. But
there's a positive too, I guess. We'll see.
And I know after the Hoyer KC thing, everyone is very out on Hoyer. And I think it's more this. The whole thing with Hoyer going in is we're like, as long as you don't turn over the ball, it's fine. We can muscle it out the Patriot way of running the ball, smart plays, making it very simple on you, and tough defense. And that game was winnable against the Chiefs team that was miles better than the Patriots. Yeah. But he had 3 turnovers. Exactly. So every Patriots fan's kind of scared about that and think that's who Brian Hoyer is. And what I said was, 1, he looked good in preseason. I don't care what you think about preseason. I'm just saying it. I'm not saying that's how it's going to be. I'm saying it's a positive. It's a point for Brian Hoyer, right? Definitely. And I think there's definitely going to be messages of we can't have that again. There will be no turnovers from you to an extent, right? If it's depending on the circumstance, right?
Right, of course. Hail Mary, turnovers don't really.
Hail Mary, or we just need you to throw the ball and it's beyond your skill grade, but it's the only thing we have left, that kind of thing. Just early in the game, while we're in the game, no turnovers. You're not going to be the reason we lose, type of thing. I think that's how he's going to play, because you look at it and it's Green Bay, then it's I believe it's Detroit. The Bears are in there.
Schedule definitely opens up a little, eases up for sure.
So there's still a chance. And I know the 4 weeks is what the Patriots want, because after that 4th week, they play the Jets. Yeah. And then they play Colts, maybe?
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
And then it's a bye week, and then it's the Jets again. So as far as Mac coming back, that is 3 fantastic games plus a bye week to come back to. Mm-hmm. Now,
into it.
Yeah, ease him into it. And then I completely understand Mac's thing of, if I could avoid surgery, I'd like to.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. And, I understand the whole thing with Hoyer that he definitely gives the Patriots a better chance to win right now. It's just I don't want to watch it. That's the real reason that I want to see Bailey Zappi. I want some entertainment out there. If Zappi's out there slinging it up to Aguilar and Parker, who knows? Maybe they bring down some of these 50-50 balls. But yeah, I like Brian Hoyer. He's a great guy. He's a terrific backup. But I think the best thing for the future of the Patriots is at least give Zappi one chance to see what he does. And definitely Brian Hoyer is probably it will be Brian Hoyer, I'm guessing, but personally I just want a little entertainment,
So this might perfectly lead into why we're here. which
Mhm.
is what do we want? What do we expect from the Patriots? Now, I'm a big proponent of this philosophy, and it gets me in trouble all the time because it requires big moves where I'm like, if you are not in a position to win a championship, unless you are a very small market team, I'm going to use an NBA reference for this one. The Jazz did what they did perfectly. They're a small market team. They had a very small chance to win the title, but you're not going to get another Rudy Gobert as much as people say he sucked. You extend him because you can't lose him, right? Stuff like that. And then when it's clear that there's no shot at a title, you get rid of everything, you clear house, you get assets. So, but back to my point of if you're not going to win a title and there is no benefit to you competing necessarily, I don't feel like you should. And that's like a kind of a tank mentality. But what
Danny,
I'm what was that?
Danny Ainge it.
I'm not saying like you trade guys. I'm just saying more like, you know, let's say Mac does the 6 to 8 weeks thing,
Mhm.
right? So that would be 6 to 7 games, maybe, because one
Yeah,
of the weeks would be a bye.
put a buy in there. Yeah.
Say they go 3-3 or 3-4. That puts you in that just mediocre category
Yeah.
where it's like, what was the point of that?
Mhm.
You know, like, because from I don't know, like the to me, there's absolutely no benefit going like 500 on this stretch.
Yeah, you don't want to be stuck in no man's land where you can't get a good draft pick, can't compete. It's just that's where you never want to be in the NFL, especially in the NFL.
And since we have a coaching staff that is amazing at taking guys with low skill levels and making them a lot better or
Mhm.
putting them in roles where they can succeed, I'm fearful that they will go like 3-4, 4-3, something like that. And then you're looking at, okay, now we're 500, but the Dolphins are like 7-1 and the Bills are 7-1 or something. And it's like the path to the playoffs isn't there. So now you're just going to get a pick in the teens,
Yeah.
but the low teens.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right,
Just
fantastic.
stuck in the middle there. The thing about this team, and like you said about the coaching, that's a part of it. And the other thing is this defense. They're going to win you some games over the stretch, even if you don't have a quarterback, especially with playing the Lions, Bears, those type of teams. The defense is good enough to win you games here. So I don't I don't see a world where we're 1-8, 2-6, whatever, when Mac comes back. So it does seem like we're gonna be in that no man's land, middle of the pack. But just hopefully they can keep it afloat a little bit, and then when Mac comes back, who knows? Maybe they make a run. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. But I just think the defense is definitely good enough where that they'll be able to win some games on the stretch for sure.
I know. I'm just like, I'm in a position now where it's like, I'll see how this Packers game goes, obviously. And if it goes to like blowout, then I'm sorry. I'm hoping they lose. Like, I am. And say what
Yeah.
you want if I'm a fake fan or whatever. I'm just going to say this. My first ever podcast on here, you can go back. I was talking about tanking for Trevor Lawrence. That is what I was talking about. We had the roster to do it. And then they made more moves to make them better and spent money to make the team mediocre, whatever. And it was an unbelievable coaching job to get that team to 8-9.
Mhm.
But, if they did truly go, let's tank this, you just have that franchise quarterback who we are currently seeing blossom right now in Jacksonville. And I'm
It-
not saying Matt can't be the guy or anything, but the traditional Super Bowl route is you need a top 10 QB, I would say. There's been teams like Trent Dilfer, they win a Super Bowl, whatever. Matt Stafford last year is probably 10,
yeah.
right? Like Mac might be top 10 in the AFC, not in the league, right? Like he's and it's kind of we're at that point where it's I wish he made more. He was looking better, is what I
Yeah.
should say.
The decision making, especially in this last game, has seemed and it seemed like last year and in college he was such a great decision maker, and then especially last game he made some very dumb plays. He should have had another interception on the goal line. I forget who
Pick six, yeah.
was that. Patrick Queen or something? Was that Patrick Queen?
It was
Whoever.
someone, but it should have been a pick six because it was a
Exactly.
flat.
Yeah.
He went out and he had a
Just
running start, and it would have been Mac trying to catch a linebacker, and it wasn't happening.
Yeah, exactly. Just some bad decision making. You saw that in the Steelers game too, when he should have had even a couple more picks than he. I think he had one, but he should have had that one. So I, I'm still hopeful for Mac because I believe if they just get some great receivers around him, I think he can really be something and turn into one of those top 10 guys. But right now, especially I've shit on the play calling and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and I don't think that they're helping to develop him. And yeah, I'm definitely hopeful for Mac, but like you said, these first three games have not given me optimism that he will be that guy. I'm hoping that, like I said, take these few weeks, regroup, try to get back to what you do best, and just stop trying to win the game all by yourself. Just get back to who Mac Jones is, and Mac Jones is a good decision maker who can hit his guys when they're open, and hopefully he just gets back to that once he comes back from the injury.
So I'm going to bounce some points off you, see what you think. My first point, which I thought about, as I said, Mac seems to have a lot more control of his destiny, I should say, of maybe he has a lot more freedom and he isn't being carried to what he's supposed to do.
Definitely.
So to that, because I'm like, there's a lot more rookie mistakes being made.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I have a theory essentially that last year it was like him and Bill running doing it, or him and Josh like figuring it out. And it was very much like, you're going to look at this guy, and if he's not open, you do this. Otherwise, flat or take the set or throw it away, whatever.
Yeah.
Just making it super easy, super simple for him. And now maybe they're like,
Trying to make him learn.
make him learn and, just see how he does with all this freedom, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Second thing, I agree. Patricia and Judge are not ideal offensive coordinators. What I also want to say is their play calling last game was exactly what I want as a fan.
Yeah.
I had no issue with the plays they were calling. I'd like to see some more bootlegs because I think Mac is mobile enough to do it. But in general, the play calling to me was good.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about an offensive coaching decision that's stupid, it's not playing Kendrick Bourne. And if you want to hear me rant about Kendrick Bourne, I did a Pats recap, and I probably went on about it for 5 minutes, and you can go, and I was screaming and yelling, and it was entertaining. But I'm not going to do that again here. He needs to play, whatever.
Definitely.
And then my final point, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the play calling was definitely better in that Ravens game. I think the main problem is, I think we've talked about this in previous recaps and podcasts, the disguising. You saw that stat they put up on the broadcast. It was like 75% of the time when they're in I formation, they run it. And then it was like 80% of the time when they're in shotgun, it's a pass. We need to get more play action going out under center, get some more runs through because Ramondre and Damian Harris are such great runners that you can give them the ball out of the shotgun and they can still make plays. Still, even if you even if you want to run these, like you're talking about, run these bootlegs, try to get Mac out in space, get the receivers out in space, get the get the defense off their game. And I think that's kind of my biggest problem with the play calling. The actual plays were a lot better the past week, but I think that's just my biggest problem with the play calling.
I'm with you. I mean, I think he can definitely be better, but I think I am intrigued and hopeful of the offensive scheme when I look at each week and I go, okay, week 1, horrendous, as bad as it could be. Week 2, although it wasn't perfect and I didn't like some stuff, it was miles better, right? I know they only scored 17 points, but it was like so much better than the week before. And then this week, they had no issue moving the ball up and down. I know the Ravens defense isn't fantastic, but no problems moving the ball up and down the field. No issue whatsoever. It was a turnover thing.
For sure.
Which heading into week 4, I was very intrigued, very excited, thought potentially an upset versus Green Bay. I was really thinking that. And then obviously Matt gets hurt. We have a completely different storyline and different schedule for the podcast this week.
Absolutely.
But my final thing was Sunday was Max. It was, I'm trying to, I don't know the stat. Basically, like he had the most big impact plays in a game of his career. Right? I'm not sure the criteria for that, but makes sense. He was letting it loose pretty much.
I do agree. I would agree.
He also had the most turnover worthy plays of his career in a game. So it's give and take. There were a lot of positives. I would say through, a half and half of the third quarter, you're like, yo, Mac looks really good. He's really slinging it. He's doing a lot of improv stuff I like to see. He seems like that guy. And then he does the pick right to the guy, perfect pass to the linebacker. And you're like,
Dime.
I really didn't want to see that one.
Yeah.
And then the Devontae Parker interception, I blame honestly more on Parker. He was taking his sweet time getting to that. It didn't seem like the worst ball. It was just Parker. I don't know. Because I went to the game, so I'm in the 300s, but I'm looking down on the end zone, so I got a good look of it. Parker was like trying to avoid linebackers rather than just going straight to where the ball's supposed to be. It was a bad route, in my opinion.
For sure.
So I don't put that all on Mac. And then honestly, the final interception, first off, he got hurt on the play, so that probably affected the throw. And 2, it's desperation. So if you do want to like talk about his interceptions, he had a really bad one and then one where you're like, it's kind of on both. At worst, Parker should be a defender on that play, right? Like that one wasn't the worst one to me. And then obviously if Aguilar doesn't fumble, which amazing play by Kyle Hamilton, doesn't get enough credit for that.
Unreal. Yeah.
Completely different game. You're thinking they're going to score, and then the defense just needs to stop Lamar, which that was a tough task. But so what are you hoping, I guess? What are you hoping through this run without Mac? And then what are you hoping the rest of the season? What are your goals?
Yeah. So one thing that, and I've harped on this in previous podcasts as well, I saw some stat, I think, that Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith have 18 targets through 3 weeks. And those two are supposed to, they have 2 of the biggest contracts on the offense. They're supposed to be brought in to be difference makers. And it just seems like they're not using them correctly or at all, really. So I really, hopefully, with the type of player, with the type of quarterback that Brian Hoyer is, he's not going to be this downfield trying to slice up the defense. Hopefully they can get Henry and Jonnu involved in the offense, get them integrated so that once Mac comes back, they can actually be functioning pieces of the offense and just not decoys out there, $40 million decoys at that. So I think that's definitely one thing I want to see. Another thing, like you said, Kendrick Bourne's got to play more. I mean, he's an impact player. He brings that energy. We've said it a million times. Uh, we got to see him more, and he's another one of those additions from last offseason that's was great last year, and now all of a sudden doesn't seem like they want to use him anymore, which is very annoying for Patriots fans, for sure. Another thing, definitely want to see the defense keep playing well. It's going to be hard, obviously, because they're probably going to be on the field a lot more because the offense probably will not be as efficient as grind the clock out, run the ball as much as they were the first 3 weeks. I think, like we mentioned Dietrich Wise last week, and then he came up with two big sacks in that first half on Lamar Jackson. My shout out Anthony, my friend. He mentioned that mentioned that he was listening and loved that Dietrich Wise point from us. So definitely shout out on that point. He's been good.
He actually got 3 sacks, I'm pretty sure.
3? Okay, yeah. Just 2 in the first, I think, though, right?
Yeah.
And then he must have got another. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So definitely him. I think I saw Jonathan Jones is the highest rated PFF corner so far this year. So he's been a beast. Get Judon and Barmore going more. I understand that some fans may want to. It can't really be tanking, especially if Mac's only going to be out for whatever it is, 4 to 8 weeks. But I understand wanting to get that better draft pick. But I guess for me, since I thought that the Patriots had a solid chance to make the playoffs this year before that, I think that if they just hold it over, try to just stay steady throughout these weeks that Mac's out. I'm hoping, like I said, that Mac will get back to what he was last year, and hopefully they can make a deep playoff run not a deep playoff run, a chance at getting one of those wild card spots. Because as we know, and we've talked about this before too, the Patriots get better as the season goes on. So hopefully they run out a few of these, go on a win streak at the end of the year, just to, who knows, maybe sneak into the playoffs. And then if you're in the playoffs, who knows what can happen. So I'm just looking for the younger guys on defense and offense to step up for sure. Christian Barmore, Cole Strange, some of those guys on the O line, step it up, see some real growth. I think that's kind of what the season will be about now, since there's a slimmer chance that we're going to make the playoffs. I still think there is a chance, but I'm just hoping to see development from the young guys, the defense to continue to be the rock that holds us together, and yeah, like I said, just get those additions involved, make them additions to the offense, because through the first 3 weeks, they really haven't been. 18 targets for the 2 guys that you paid to be top 5 paid tight ends through 2 weeks or 3 weeks is just unacceptable, I think. And you got to find a way to get those guys involved. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you said. You know, when I mentioned the tanking, obviously they're not going to be able to tank. They're too well coached. They have too much talent. I get that. I guess my whole thing is I predicted them to go 7-10 this year, and 7-10, you're looking at 15th pick, something like that. They lose, like, obviously they can't compete with the Seattles and Houston and Atlanta for like one of those worst records. I get that. But I'm looking at how can we make the team better, and the way to make it better is an impact player. I just think we lack that. We lack a special talent. Like, to me, the closest thing on offense to like a special talent is Stevenson and Kendrick Bourne, and you're not playing one of them. Because to me, Kendrick Bourne's improvements have been absurd, and it's tough for anyone to agree with me on that because he doesn't play.
Exactly.
But he looks amazing to me. So when you're not playing these super impactful players, it makes Mac's development that much worse, which kind of sucks. But, I know the Ohio State wideout, I think it's Jackson Smith something.
Yeah.
He's probably looking at 10 to 15 range, right?
Yeah.
So my thing is, if you lose a game you should win during this Mac absence, you can get him. And then, I talked about how I think the NFL is just evolving to speed and separation. And if you can have him and Tyquan Thornton lead that with the separation and speed, that's going to make Mac's jobs a lot easier. That's just how I'm envisioning when you're building this team, because I like Jacoby Myers, and Devontae Parker showed some stuff, but with all due respect, they aren't these huge high impact wide receivers. They're good.
They're great supporting cast guys, but they can't be your 1, 2, 3. Like you need that game breaker that can transform an offense and from being a mediocre mid-tier offense to that elite offense.
Yeah. I mean, look at Miami. Just look at them. They went from a terrible offense to, developing the O-line and signing a stud left tackle, so their O-line solidified. They drafted Jalen Waddle, great pick, fast receiver, gets a lot of separation, and then you get the best receiver for the NFL today, arguably, in Tyreek Hill. And now Tua looks like an MVP candidate, and they're 3-0. And that offense looks like, how are you going to stop them?
Mm-hmm.
And they beat Buffalo, who everyone already crowned as Super Bowl champs.
Yeah.
Which a lot of that was on Miami's defense of their bend don't break stuff.
Yeah.
But Miami still scored when they had to. And, it's just, that's how I'm thinking when I'm like, how can we make the Patriots better? And I don't see it in a way of like, get a free agent or something like that. And I don't want to be the team that's like, I'm paying a wideout $30 million. That's just stupid to me. Like, that's not how you build a good team. I think you do need to draft impact players. And if you don't want to go offense, well, guess what? We have Jelani Tavai playing linebacker, and he's just not good. And we don't have anyone better. So maybe draft a linebacker too. I don't,
They definitely need that speed in the linebacker. They tried to bring it in with Mac Wilson.
Mac Wilson, terrible last game.
Yeah, and I think definitely, I'm hoping that all these receiver classes have been deep the past few years. So if we do fall off here during this stretch, definitely one of the Smith and Jigba, and trying to get one of those top guys, and hopefully, if not, you can find one of those gems. But yeah, I definitely think that, like you saw with Tua, his first couple of years, he didn't have any weapons, and he really didn't show much. I think Mac's shown more than Tua showed his first couple of years last year, and I mean, some of what he did last game, like you said, he did play well on some occasions. Just the decision making wasn't great there. And then, like you said, now they bring in Hill and Waddle, and you see what happens. It's not that complicated. You got to surround your guys with skill position players that can elevate your game to the next level, and hopefully that ends up working out for the Pats at some point.
Yeah. So we'll try to wrap it up soon, but you did nail it on the head when you talked about what you want to see, and you talked about certain players. And that's really all I'm looking for is, if I know a guy's here for the long term, I want to see how he does, right? Like, Jalen Mills is cool, but honestly, like, I don't see him in the future of Patriots success.
Right.
Jonathan Jones is a guy I could see. He's going to be here for a while, and this is the first year he's been an outside corner, and he's already been seen as one of the elite cornerbacks, whether you want to admit it or not, because he's not a household name. Okay. Jack Jones played. Jack Jones. Well, I'm saying he went in for Mills.
Yeah.
Because Mills got out of the game and no one threw at him. He's probably honestly one of my favorite players on the defense. I'm super high on him. I see him as one of those, like, I see him as he could be like the JC Jackson where he comes out of nowhere and he's just number one corner immediately. Super high on him. So intrigued to see about him. Hopefully Duggar gets healthy because his week 1
Oof.
made me go, oh my gosh, impact safety. Where has this been? Like the way he was just tackling people and changing the game and making these plays that truly, like, I don't see a lot of safeties make anymore.
Yeah. He's looking like
You know,
Derwin James out there.
yeah, like I don't see a ton of safeties make the plays he was making, and it sucks he got hurt. But seeing what he can do, none of the linebackers are honestly, like, Wise, I think, is someone who could stay, but that he's getting old, so it requires the Pats to sort of turn around sooner. But
Definitely.
I've just loved the improvements he's made and how much he's stuck around and changed his game and adapted it to fit our team, and I respect that a lot.
Mhm.
And you know, I'm at the point where can we play Barmore more? I understand he hasn't been playing well, but he's someone I would like to invest in, not Equality or any guy like that.
Yes, Christian Barmore. I've been saying it. He hasn't lived up to it yet this season, but I've been saying he's the next Aaron Donald. So
Oh jeez.
yeah,
Oh jeez.
I still got hope for it though. I
I,
think
I
he's a
should have
beast.
got that on the hot takes episode. We'll have to bring you on and see if you have anything crazy like that.
Definitely.
Um, and then Tyquan Thorne debut. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt, but I was very intrigued by everything from preseason. So
Yeah, for sure. Just get these young guys developed. Let's see some excitement out there. Let's see some flashes, and then who knows? Maybe they can turn it around later in the year.
and then honestly, arguably the most important guy to me is Ramondre Stevenson. Fantastic week 3, but it's looking more and more like Damian Harris will be gone.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna let Stevenson do everything. And I'm cool with it, but I like to see more and more improvements because that would make me feel a lot better about it. But
Absolutely.
that's all I got. I don't know if you got anything else.
I don't think so. I think we covered it all. Definitely just let's hold on here. Let's hope it doesn't all go all downhill, or we'll be able to survive. We'll get through it together.
Yeah, the Packers game isn't gonna make me react. I think it's a loss anyway. It can only be a positive for me. Even if they lose 42-0, I'll be like, dude, cool. Like,
get
but
that get that.
yeah, I mean, if they like covered the spread or something, I'd be like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Really, it's when you get into the Lions, the Bears, the Jets. That's when I'll be like, all right, let's see. Is this, do we want to win? Do we want to lose kind of thing?
That's when we'll really learn how the rest of the year will go, I think.
Yeah. As always, thank you for joining, Nate. Always great discussions with you. Thank you for those listening, and tune in next time.